Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to do a handover video on this Rollerteam. It's an Auto Roller 694, and as you can see there on the 2014 chassis, which is the type of chassis which is between 2008 and 2015. It's on the 130, which is a 2.3, and first thing I'm going to do is just show you under the bonnet, and then I'll carry on around the outside and show you what we've got going on. So on the left hand side we've got the washer fluid at the top left, power steering fluid in this reservoir just here, and your engine coolant in this one just here. You've then got this little piece here that's hanging off, by the way, is just the drain for the scuttle tray, so we'll try and reattach that in a minute. So you've got the brake fluid just here in this reservoir at the top. Engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here, and your engine oil dipstick is the red topped one down here. You've then got your sort of chassis plates and your paint code 249, Fiat 249 is the white colour on the cab, not the blue colour but the white. So if you ever needed any touch-up paints or anything like that, Fiat 249 is the colour you would go for the white. Air conditioning information, as this is an air conditioning model. Then got the air filter, sits down here in this little casing here. The engine battery on this particular chassis sits under the floor in the cab, underneath this little cover here in front of the passenger seat. So if you want to jump start the van, instead of having to go underneath the floor and getting the battery out and all that, you can literally just come here to this little cover that I've just lifted up, open that up, and that there is directly linked to your positive terminal of the battery. So you put your positive on that, and your earthing point, it's this little prong just here, and it does say only for jump start. So that's how you can jump start the vehicle from under the bonnet. Fuel filter is at the back just there, and that's about it really for under the bonnet. There's not much else to run through. So to actually get the bonnet open, inside the passenger door, you've got this little handle here to open the bonnet. You've also got, if I just point out, a lot of your electrical bits and pieces for the whole vehicle are down here, including your 240 volt battery charger. You haven't got to do anything with those. It's just, I'm just sort of pointing it out. But yeah, so that is the under the bonnet and the front. Your diesel filling point is just inside this little cover here. As I said, that's diesel. You haven't got to worry about any AdBlue or anything like that. It's not quite new enough for that sort of thing, but it saves you a job really, if nothing else. Okay, so if we carry on to the near side here now, we've got your freshwater filling point. So fresh water goes in there. The freshwater drain for the tank, I am going to show you where that is because it's just here. But the fresh tank sits just here underneath this seat here, and you've got the nice little drain that I'll show you in a minute. Then got the gas locker. So you have got space in here for two 6 kilo propane bottles, or it does say there you've got space for one 15 kilo or 13, whichever one you want to go for. So I have replaced this pigtail hose. It's got, I think it's, what date is it? 2021, so you've got till 26 to replace that. Regulator works really, really well. To turn the bottle on, we go anti-clockwise, round to the left, and clockwise round to the right turns it off. Drop out holes just here for the gas locker, and it's all fully sealed all around. Hookup cable, I've got the hookup plugged in so I can show you a few things working inside. Battery charger will be on all the time now, and also the fact that I will point this out to you when we look at the control panel, but the engine battery is actually being charged up by the hookup as well, which is always a really, really nice thing to have. Not all vehicles have that ability so that the batteries are linked up like that. So, essentially when you plug the hookup cable in, not only is your leisure battery going to have a good charge in it, but the vehicle battery will also be being charged up, so it always helps. So this is your toilet cassette locker. So this is a Thetford toilet cassette. Super easy to use. All you have to do is lift up on the little orange tab and pull the cassette towards you. You will then be able to take it all the way out. So to drain it out, turn this little handle here, and then you can take this cap off, and that will then allow you to drain it out. Whilst you're draining it out, you should be holding down the little orange button at the back. And that is honestly all you have to do. Push it all the way back in. Make sure that's over the little catch, and then that's it, back in place. Okay, on this particular vehicle, you have actually got 2 waste tanks. All right, so you've got 2 handles to drain out your wastewater. So I'll just show you where they are now. So the first one is down here underneath, wherever it might be. There you go. So that little pulley you can see is one of the waste tanks. So if you pull that towards you, any water that's left inside the waste tank will drain out straight onto the floor from there. The other one is at the back. Just there. So you can see the other pull cord there. So you have got the twin waste tanks on this. It just would have been an option when the customer was buying this new. It would have been an option to have twin tanks, but so there you go, twin waste tanks. So you have got the reversing camera up there, 2 bike rack, and the tow bar, which, you know, in terms of motorhomes are not cheap things to have done. Reversing camera works really well. Nice clear screen in the front, which I'll show you in a minute. So on the off side now, we've got absolutely tons of storage here underneath the fixed bed. You have got these little bits on the floor here, which you can, you know, if you needed anything sort of tied down, you can do that from there. But yeah, that's about it really. Just showing you the storage there. Also, with this locker, please try your best not to forget that this is the catch to hold it up. So if you go to close it one day and think, oh, it won't close, don't yank on it, because these are quite brittle. So make sure that you sort of give it a little bit of help, push it up and then pull it. But you'll get the hang of that pretty quickly. So you've got this Truma circular vent just here, which is to do with your Truma Combi, which is your heating and hot water system. So anytime that you've got that lit up, you will feel hot air coming out through the bottom of this. You've then got these 2 vents just here. I've got the bottom one open at the moment, just so I can show you briefly what's going on. Not that you really need to see in there, but I will just run you through it. And also, if I just step back a little bit, just show you the awning. So I fitted the awning yesterday, it all went on really nicely, and thankfully I was able to put the brackets in nice sort of hidden away places. They're not always as straightforward to fit, but there you go. I did also have to move the awning light down just a touch, because it was exactly where the awning is now, but it still works nicely, so I'll show you how to use that in a minute. So as I said, you've got the fridge vents, so one at the top, one at the bottom. So behind the fridge vent just here, what you've essentially got is a load of nonsense wiring. So the gas pipe comes up through here, comes across through a little valve, and then over to the burner section over here. So if you ever have the gas lit up on the fridge, you should be able to see a little blue flame just inside there. At the moment, I've got it lit up on, sorry, not lit up, but I've got it turned on the mains. So you will still be able to feel warm air coming out through the top vent because of the element inside there. But yeah, so you shouldn't ever have to do anything with that really, but it's just more so for us when we have to do any repairs. It's all nice and easy to get to on these ones. You have also got the D-bar, so that's a lock and a handle to get in, so you can use it for either one. All you have to do is pull down on this little tab here. I'm just going to use my other hand quickly. Once you've pulled down on the tab and pulled it out a little bit, you will then be able to close it off halfway out, like that. So you can use it as a handle to get in, really nice and strong. Or all the way over the door, obviously when the door's shut, all the way over the door, and then you can lock it from there as well. So you can use it as a lock, or you can use it as a handle to get in. So I'm just going to pull that down again. And there you go. So just another thing that's already fitted to the vehicle. So, you know, as for extras, that might be something you would look at doing in the future. The bike rack, the reversing camera, tow bar, etc. So yeah, lots of really nice extras on here already. As I said, I did the habitation check yesterday. Absolutely flew through the hab check. Nothing wrong with it at all. Completely honestly, I didn't have to do anything, to be fair, apart from fitting, you know, moving the light down and fitting the awning. The habitation check, just absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. So yeah, so the bodywork on it, absolutely lovely. I mean, we have, you know, given it a good polish up and clean up, but I mean, we haven't done any paint work to it. I mean, you know, you can probably see there, bodywork, absolutely lovely. So I'm going to run you through the cab now. There's not a huge amount to go through. These are quite simple cabs. But again, much like the rest of the vehicle, it's a really nice high spec in the cab. So you've got the 6-speed manual gearbox as opposed to the 5, which is always really nice. You've got the air conditioning switch from the middle just there. You've got your lock and unlock functionality from this little section here. Sorry about my wobbly hand. You've got the cruise control extra on here as well. So when you click up here for the cruise control, that'll come up on the dash, and then you can basically set it and set the speed however you want to. Your lights and indicators are from the left-hand stalk just here. Washers and wipers are on the right. You have also got, if I just pull the door, you've also got the electric adjusting mirrors. So you can basically select which mirror you want to move. So if I wanted the bottom right one there, I'd be on the one I'm on now, and then move it around like a little joystick basically. The main right hand one is the top right, and then move it around where I want to. So that's really easy to use. You've also got your cab blinds. So if you just squeeze these little two bits together, that will release and meet all the way up at the front like that. There isn't one for the front window, but you can get the silver screens for that, which I think are just as good, and actually probably does a better job of the heat, you know, keeping the heat in or the cold out. So yeah, there you go. Let's back away. Reversing camera screen is up there. I wouldn't be surprised if that was factory fitted. So power switch just there, that'll come on when your ignition's on, because it's a ignition live feed, which basically means that you can't drain the battery out without the engine being on, which is always pretty handy. But yeah, so I think that's about it for the cab and the outside. So what I'll do now is I will jump inside and show you what we've got going on in here. So first things first, I've got this, I mean, all I had to do to get this open is take these cushions off this seat and then lift up this big panel here. And so that gives you absolutely perfect access to this, which is the fresh tank. A lot of the time you'll find that the fresh tanks are underslung under the vehicle, and that can be a real pain if you have to do anything to this sort of area. So fresh tank and your water pump here. All right, so again, a lot of the time we'll find that, you know, because water pumps are sort of like an item that needs to be replaced sometimes, wear and tear item. So having access to it like this is just, you know, for people like us when we're doing this sort of work, that's absolutely perfect. So the water pump, you haven't got to do anything with that. I'll show you how to use it from up at the control panel and the taps in a minute, but that is where that is situated. You've got this little knob just here. So if I was to turn this so it was in line with the rest of the pipe, this water from the fresh tank would drain out underneath. So that is your fresh water drain off point. All right, you can get into the top of the tank just here. So if you ever wanted to clean this out, you can do. A lot of people don't bother, but you do. It's not so much dirt, it's more like it's sort of like sand that gets, well, sandy stuff that gets trapped at the bottom of the tank. So if you ever wanted to give that a little clean out, you can do nice and easily from there. The reason this little hole here has been cut out is so that you can reach in and get to that freshwater drain if you ever needed to, but it's probably just as easy to take this off and get better access to it from there. So that is the access to the fresh tank. Right, so the only thing I will point out that I did find in the hab check, which to be honest isn't really part of the hab check, but is that this light is flashing, saying that the fresh tank is empty. Now the fresh tank isn't empty, and I think what the problem is going to be these little sensors here. So this is where you've got your sensors for the water level. So basically how it works is you've got these little screws that go down into the water, and they're all sitting at different heights. When the water touches each one of those, it's supposed to tell the control panel how full up it is, but none of them seem to be working. So I'm going to have a little look into getting another one of these, but what I don't want to do is delay the, handing the vehicle over process. So if we can get hold of one of these nice and quickly, I will. If not, we might have to send one out or have you booked in to do it in the future. But as I said, it's so easy to get to the fresh tank. I can actually see how much water's in it from there, but I know that that's obviously going to be a bit annoying having that showing you empty. But again, as I said, we will sort that for you. So the control panel is super simple, Rollerteam branded. So what you've essentially got is a main on and off switch just here. I've got that on at the moment. You've then got a light switch above that, which I've also got on, which is now allowing us to use all of our lights in the whole vehicle. We've got this little control panel here, which essentially controls most of the lights in the vehicle from there, nice and easy. You've then got this little button just here, which is for the water pump. Now the water pump switch is turned on at the moment, so that water pump down there has currently got power going to it, but it's not running because we are completely pressurized and there's no leaks. If you have the water pump switch turned on and the pump is running, it either means that you've not got to pressure just yet, or there's a leak. All right, now not getting to pressure yet isn't a problem. It can either mean that your fresh water tank isn't quite full enough yet, or it can mean that you haven't purged the water through the tap properly just yet. So if I show you how to do that now. So if you want to come in and just use the van just like normal, you want to get good pressure of water everywhere, you want to use the heater, all that sort of stuff, this is what you have to do first. First thing you got to do, turn your control panel on and your water pump switch. You then want to come to the kitchen sink just here. Please try and ignore my things. So come to the sink just here, and what I do, I did this, I know this is going to be fully pressurized anyway because I've just done the hab check yesterday, but so you want to get to your tap, lift it up on the cold side, which is to the right. So you've got good pressure coming through there. It's not coughing and spluttering, it's not throwing out any air. And I'll now turn it over to the left for the hot. Same goes for that. It's not coughing and spluttering, it's coming out nice and clear. I'll turn it off, and hopefully the water pump will turn itself off as well. There you go. So you hear what happened there. If I just quickly explain what happened. So when I turned the water pump off, the tap off, the water pump was repressurizing itself. So when I turned the tap off, the water pump was basically pushing more and more and more water up to the tap to get it nice and pressurized right at the tap, right at the cassette. And then when it gets to that pressure, it turns itself off. So the beauty with these kind of pumps, which is like an inline pump, is that if you do have a leak, you'll know about it, because that pump will come on, you know, on, off, on, off, on, off, to try and keep itself at pressure. All right, so that's a really good indication. If you ever hear that, if you've got your pump switched on and it's kind of coming on, off, on, off, on, off, you've more than likely got a leak somewhere. All right, at the moment, as it stands, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this entire van. The pump, I didn't have any leaks yesterday. I literally came into here, turned the pump on, brought all the water through, absolutely perfect. But in the future, if there are ever any sort of purging like that, just give us a shout and we can sort it for you. But that's a good indication that you've got a leak somewhere in the future, if you do. Yeah, so that's all you have to do. So now that we've done that, now that we've seen that the water's coming through this tap nice and clearly on hot and the cold, and also the fact that the pump turned itself off like that, I can now tell you for an absolute fact that you've got good pressure on the cold side, so there's no air in the system, and also that your boiler is full of water. All right, so the reason I can tell you that the boiler is full of water is that you've essentially, by doing that, by putting the water through on the hot side and seeing there's no leaks, you've now proven that the boiler is full. Because if you tried to pour the water through on the hot side and no water came through, all it means is that your boiler isn't quite full yet, and it's filling the boiler up before it comes to the tap. Okay, so on that same point, you've got this little yellow tab down here. This is your boiler drain off point. So if you ever wanted to drain the boiler out, so if you were coming up to winter and you wanted to winterize the vehicle, you would lift that little tab upright so it's facing vertical, and all the water from the boiler will drain out onto the floor. It essentially just stops it from freezing up inside and damaging the internals of the boiler. So that is where that is. Right, so once you've done that, once you've pressurized the van, made sure there's good pressure everywhere, you can forget about that. You can go ahead and use it exactly as you want to, but that's just really important that you make sure that everything's pressurized. So, as I said, you've got your internal lights just here. You've then got your awning light, which is like just there above the door. So if you do have the awning wound out, you can have the awning light on to shine down on the floor. So you can see there, I mean, it's daylight at the moment. You can see how bright that is. So it's a really nice LED awning light. You've then got your battery level indicators. So you've got battery 2, which is your leisure battery. So that's showing us 13.7 volts. That's actually really, really good for, I mean, it is hooked up at the moment, but that's a really good charging rate. And the engine battery voltage from there, so that's 13.6, also very, very good. As I said, the fresh water tank isn't showing properly, so I will just skip past that one. You can then see your waste tanks. They're empty at the moment because I have them open. And your internal temperature. So if I now run you through what these little lights here mean as well. So this one here, the little yellow one here, that's telling us that the hookup is plugged in and it's working. And this little light here, because we're hooked up on the mains, it's charging both batteries. So that little symbol there is basically telling you that your split charging system is working. Now that's normally to do with when your engine's running, but because we've got the charger powering both engine and leisure batteries, it's just telling you that they're both linked up. All right, so that's the control panel, super easy to use. But if you do get any questions on that or any questions at all, just let us know. Right, so just have a little look, see if there's anything I need to run through in any of the overhead lockers. So you've got the really, really good size Thetford fridge here. So you've got your separate freezer at the top and the light up big fridge at the bottom. So this is a 3-way Thetford fridge. So as you can probably imagine, works 3 different ways. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off so I can show you it working from the beginning. So to get this to work, if I just quickly explain to you how these fridges work in general. So you've got 240 volt mains electric, 12 volt engine running, and gas. So at the moment, I've got the choice of mains electric or gas, because I've got the gas switched on and I've got the mains cable plugged in. So in that case, in my opinion, I would be selecting the mains power, which is that one just there, which is already selected for us. And at that point, you just leave it alone. As long as you've got a little green light inside the little power switch here, you can know that the fridge is on. If you want to change the energy, press and hold on this little button here until it all starts flashing. You can then go through and change the energy that's cooling the fridge down. So as I said, I've only got the option of mains electric or gas. So I'm going to select gas now. It will then ask us how powerful we want it to go. So we can go all the way up to the max if you want to. Press it again and it will light up. All right. So again, that little screen there will go off. And as long as we've got the little green light in there, that's telling us it's working. All right, so that's how you choose electric or gas. If you have pre-cooled the fridge with all your stuff inside of it, which is what you do have to do, and you're getting ready to drive off and leave, you would start the engine up, come to the fridge, press and hold the button again, and then choose this one here, which is a little battery symbol. So press on that, press it again. That's flashing up red because we haven't got the engine running, all right? But as soon as you start the engine up, that will work, and that essentially keeps the fridge cold whilst you drive. Okay, so the way that works, if I just quickly explain, I don't want to chew your ear off about it, but as I was saying up there, you've got a split charger. So when you start the engine up, you've got the alternator under the bonnet, which charges the engine battery, just like it was intended to from factory. When it was converted to a motorhome, just like any other decent brand of motorhome, you've got a split charger fitted, which basically takes a little bit of that alternator power and sends it through to the leisure battery as well. All right, so all the time that you're driving, the leisure battery is being charged up. It also has a wire that comes through to the fridge, which is how you use it on that little battery symbol, which is also why it will not work unless the engine is actually running. But that's how that works. You will get the hang of using the fridge really quickly. It's not a difficult thing to do, but it can take a little bit of getting used to. Nothing over the top. All right, brackets. So one of the brackets for the awning is behind this control panel, just inside here. The other two are in these overhead lockers. So that's one of them just there with the cover on it, and the other one over there. So all nice and easy to get to. Okay, so we've then got a couple of main sockets just here, which will only work when your mains is plugged in, the hookup, and a couple of USB sockets just there, which are on as well. 3-burner hob. You will need an igniter or like a long reach lighter or something to light any 3 of these up, because there isn't any specific ignition on here, but they all work really, really well. The thermocouples work nicely and isolate the gas when they need to. I'll just get down here. Storage in there. You've then got the Thetford duplex oven and grill. So really, really simple on this one. You've got a little grill pan there, but what you've essentially got is push in and around to the left for the oven. Oh, sorry, no, in and around to the right for the grill, in and around to the left for the oven, yeah. So you've got a piezo igniter on this, which is that button just there. So when you're trying to light up the grill, in and around to the right, whilst pressing on this igniter, and the grill is the long part at the top there. So you just need to make sure that that lights up, basically, on both sides. Unfortunately, I can't really show you it whilst I'm videoing, because I've only got one hand and it doesn't quite reach across. So but yeah, so you can see how that works, nice and easy. As I said, I've just literally done the hab check and it all works perfectly. So yeah, that's your oven and grill. Bit more storage down here. You have also got your trip switch down there. Now, I have written on the habitation sheet, I must admit I do not know why this has been done, but the trip switch works perfectly well. Looks like it's off at the moment, but that's because it's actually been fitted upside down. So it is on, and it is showing red, which is what they need to show when they're on, but it's upside down. So try and ignore that as best you can, but it does work perfectly fine. But that's why it's there like that. That's why it looks like it's off, but it's not. In the wardrobe, we've got tons of paperwork in this brown folder just here, and your full-size standalone table. Bathroom. So you've got a really nice separate shower in here, which is actually a decent size, to be fair, for a motorhome. So the toilets are normally the only bit that I actually show you, because the rest of it's pretty straightforward. So the toilet itself, you've got a draining point from here. Pull that across, and that opens up the flap just there. And you've got your flush button just here on the right. So if I press and hold on that. So you do that, and then you drain it out into the cassette. Now, the only thing I will point out as well is that you've got a freshwater flush on that toilet. So that means that you do have to have your water pump switch turned on in order to use that flush. All right, the last bit I'm going to show you is how to use the boiler. I kind of forgot that I hadn't actually shown you this already, so I should have done this earlier. Boiler controller just here, as it says on the top there, Truma Combi. Now, these combi boilers don't work like a household combi boiler. It doesn't give you instant hot water. It doesn't work like that. The way that these work is that you've got a 10-litre tank of water inside that boiler, and essentially what it does is it heats that water up there, and that's what you get coming through the taps. So when you draw the water through, the hot water through the taps, it does replenish it inside the boiler, but it does need a little bit more time to reheat again. So it won't just constantly come through hot. All right, you will run out of it if you do use too much. But generally speaking, 10 litres of hot water, to be fair, is plenty. You know, if you're going to have a quick shower in there, it's absolutely plenty. So fingers crossed you'll be okay with that. But that is how they all are, the Truma boilers. So to use this, it is unbelievably simple. This is a gas only boiler. There's no electronic function on it whatsoever. So if you want hot water only, you don't want heating, we go up 1 or up 2, and that's either 40 or 60 degrees of hot water. Okay, so that's hot water only. All the time that your boiler is heating the water up, you will also get that amber light coming on. So the amber light, as I said, that's telling you the water's being heated up. Okay, back down to the middle, turns the boiler off. It will flash green at you for a minute just whilst it cools itself down. If we go once down, we've got heating only. So we won't get the amber light coming on for this one. Well, let me do. Spoke too soon. That's obviously telling you that it's warming up a little bit, because we've just turned it on. But normally that would just tell you the water's heating up, but obviously not in this case. If we go down to the bottom, we've got heating and hot water at the same time. So that's heating and hot water at 60 degrees. So on a day like today, where it's really, really cold outside, we would probably be on that one there right at the bottom. So we get the heating coming through these vents at the bottom. There is one in the bathroom, and there's plenty of other ones dotted around. And if we just listen, it should be about to light up. There you go. I don't know if you heard that on the video or not, but it's just lit up really nicely. But yeah, so that is how you use the heater. So as I said, up is hot water only, down 1 is heating only, and down 2 is both heating and hot water. Okay, and you can expect to wait, I mean, the heating, you probably wait 10-15 minutes for the heating to really start pumping through. But the hot water, you know, you can probably wait for half an hour and you'll probably have hot water coming through the taps. Well, you will have hot water coming through the taps. But yeah, so that's that, nice and easy. So I think I've shown everything there is pretty much. Oh, actually, there's one other thing. This cupboard up top here. So you've got the solar controller, because you've got a solar panel on the vehicle. Solar controller there, you haven't got to do anything with that. I'm just sort of pointing out that that's where it is. And your Vision Plus TV aerial booster. All right, so you got a switch just here, which turns the booster on. That's 12 volt. And that is what basically sends the signal across for your telly, which is in there. All right. So, as I say, I think I've covered everything. If I've missed anything out, please let me know, or if you want anything covering again, just let us know. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.